Hello, Coven. Josh here to talk about Episode 8, The Sacred Taking. This episode begins with Queenie walking the streets. She is about to be attacked by a homeless man who, looks like he's either just going to beat her or rape her or both. Queenie stumbles over a wooden board with some nails in it, slams them into her hand. The man begins to bleed profusely, and she starts to beat him with it. At this moment, Zoe and Madison walk in. Ask her what she's doing, tell her that she's a witch, she belongs in the coven. Queenie says, this is voodoo, you wouldn't understand. Marie Laveau has set me straight. She's looking for a dark heart, I'm going to give her one. She pulls out a knife, looks at Zoe and Madison, laughs a little bit, says, don't worry, this isn't for you. Well, not yet. She guts the man, she sticks her hand in his chest, and as she rips out the heart, she says, voodoo, witchcraft. This town isn't big enough for the two of us, and war is coming, and you're going to lose. We go to Fiona, who is obviously dying. She talks about how this is nature's birth control. She looks in the mirror, and she says, I'm starting to look less like Samantha and more like Endora. Finally got my Bewitched reference. I've been waiting all season for that. She's there with the Axeman. He asks her to run away with him. At this point, it's brought up maybe, to end her life herself, and Fiona says, I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of me killing myself. I'm going to stay alive just to spite them. She says that, the reason that her conditioning is worsening because one of the witches in the coven is coming to her own. All she needs to do is figure out which one of them it is. And honestly, at this point, it could be any of them. We go to Luke, and we see Joan cleaning the wound that Luke suffered during Halloween. She's sitting there saying all sorts of nasty things about Nan, about the coven. Luke is trying to stick up for Nan and the coven, saying that they saved him. She slaps him across the face, and she says, the only one who can save you is Jesus. She tells him he must repent. He must cleanse himself of his impurities. Interesting choice of words, as I think that Joan is a witch, and I think it's very possible that Luke could be the next Supreme. I'll get to that a little bit later. But it's possible Luke is a witch, and he has not come into his powers yet. He is young. He is around the same age as Zoe, and remember, Zoe just started to develop her powers, so it's not, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Luke's powers are only starting to emerge. So mother mixes a solution of water, a household cleaner, looks like Comet, into a hot water bottle, and she tells him he needs to be cleansed. She makes him take off his pants, get into the bathtub, she hangs the bag, and I don't think anybody wants me to stay where she stuck that hose to give him the animal. So we go back to the academy. Cordelia's sitting at the table with Zoe and Madison. Nan comes running into the room. She can hear Luke screaming from next door. Cordelia immediately tells him to sit down, block out everything outside this room. She tells them that losing Queenie was a terrible loss, but from now on she is dead to her. Cordelia says they have to come up with a plan. Killing Fiona. At this point, the doorbell rings, and Madison says that she wants to be the one to kill Fiona. She wants to slit Fiona's throat. Cordelia says that Madison has to stay hidden till the right time. If they do this, they have one shot at doing this. If they do it wrong, it's a suicide mission. Doorbell rings again. Zoe goes to the door. She opens it. There's Misty. Misty starts to explain how there's somebody out there trying to kill her. She's come seeking help. Cordelia walks in, asks who it is. Zoe says it's a witch seeking sanctuary. Cordelia grasps Misty's hands. She gets the flashback of Misty burning at the stake. Oh, you're Misty Day. Don't worry, you're safe here. This is your home. Misty says, can my friend stay also? So I left her out in the greenhouse. So they all go out to the greenhouse. A little flash scene to Myrtle standing over Misty's bed with all the swamp shit all over her, saying how there's an assassin creeping out in the woods. He almost stepped on my face. Um, Frances Conroy was just fucking amazing in this episode. Every single scene, every line that she delivered, just absolute perfection. Cordelia and the rest of the witches go to the greenhouse. Cordelia calls out and says, whoever is there, you are amongst friends. Myrtle turns around. Of course I am, Cordelia, so long as Fiona is not with you. Cordelia, well, can't believe her eyes. She can't see, so I guess she's not going to believe her eyes. Poor choice of words, I guess. Says that she thought she would never see you again. Myrtle begins to say, that's a poor choice of words, my dear, since you are as blind as a butter knife. Myrtle starts to explain now this is a good time now for the Coven, as Cordelia finishes saying that the Coven has fallen on hard times. Myrtle saying, no, we are on good times. Our new Supreme is rising. Let me introduce you to our new Supreme, Misty Day. She has brought more people back to life than Jesus Christ himself. We cut to Zoe in the bedroom with Kyle, showing him the laptop, trying to get him, to learn. I think they're just dragging this out. Kyle is getting a little bit better. Later in the episode, he tells Zoe that he loves her, and we see Madison all upset. I think Madison is less upset that it's Kyle saying he loves her to Zoe. I think she has more of an attraction to Zoe, but I think it's just also because she's seeking love and she's not getting it. All the years of her being an absolute bitch are coming back to bite her. We go to the Sacred Taking with the entire Coven, obviously without Fiona. Go downstairs to perform the Sacred Taking. And what this ritual does is it takes the energy from the current Supreme, puts it back out into the world so a new Supreme may rise. This is something that is normally done for the good of the Coven when the current Supreme can no longer lead. This, however, is being used as an act of, I guess you could say, betrayal. They want to get rid of Fiona. They want to make her kill herself because the Supreme has to sacrifice herself for this ritual to work. According to the legend, this ritual has only been performed 3 times. Misty, obviously nervous as she's being told she is the next Supreme. She said she doesn't want to be the Supreme. Cordelia says nobody gets to choose when Fiona dies. Whoever it will be, will be. They all join hands in the circle. They begin the ceremony. They slice their fingers, place their fingers in the center, creating a blood-type bond between them.
Madison, the first to point out, however, that the plan is going to go to shit because how are we going to get that wretched bitch to actually kill herself? Cordelia replies, "Not without a push." So we cut to Fiona. She's huddled over her toilet, throwing up. She's in the late stages of cancer, medication. She's not looking too well. We hear music down in the background. Fiona walks in to see Madison dancing around the room, laughing at her. Surprise, bitch. To which the Dexter fan in me, surprise, motherfucker. Madison begins to explain how she brought herself back, that she is in fact the next Supreme. Her powers are rising. Fiona is dying. She tells her that this can go one of 2 ways. Either she could be burned at the stake, or she could take her own life. A scene which I think delivered by any other actress would have been fantastic, but I'm just not sold on Emma Roberts. Madison walks out of the room. Fiona begins to pack her bags. She looks like, she's going to make a run for it, and Myrtle walks in. Myrtle says that she was resurrected by Madison, the new Supreme. Fiona tells Myrtle that she wishes Madison the best, but she is leaving. Myrtle points out that was not one of the 2 choices, my dear. She reminds her that she either needs to be burned at the stake or take her own life. Fiona tells Myrtle that she's finally found someone she truly loves. She's not going to last long. Just let her be. Myrtle begins to say that he's not going to stay with you. Once you start dying and it starts taking too long, he's going to leave. So it looks like Fiona accepts her fate. She starts putting on her makeup. Myrtle gets her fur jacket, her fur coat out of the closet. She takes her pills. She gives her final two requests to take care of Cordelia and to not hang her portrait to hang her portrait where she requested, not in the basement with the disgraced Russian witch. So it seems like the mission is accomplished. Myrtle leaves Fiona to lay on the bed and die alone. We show Madison coming down the stairs. Zoe asks how it went. Pretty much Madison says, all good. Fiona believes that she's the Supreme. She's going to kill herself. Nan saying, why can't it be me? And Madison, being the rude bitch that she is, delivers her best line of the show, though. Says, because you have no style and your pits smell like fish sticks. Nan looks to Zoe, to kind of like stick up for her. Zoe just doesn't say anything. Nan stands up, you guys suck balls, and goes to go next door to Luke's house. And as she's walking next door, we see Hank sitting in the car. And this is another thing that makes me wonder both about Luke and Joan. Does Hank know that they are witches? Because he could have easily have taken Zoe outright. I'm sorry, not Zoe. He could have easily have taken Nan out in the street right there instead of waiting for him to go next door. Nan uses her mind, opens the door, finds Luke tied up in the closet, goes to free him. Joan is on the phone with the cops saying there's an intruder in my house, they're armed. Luke sticks up for Nan, pushes his mother. As he pushes her mother, we see the laser sights. Joan gets shot twice, and then Luke gets shot. So again, it was obvious Hank was targeting Joan. So maybe they are witches. I guess we'll find out. We go back over to Marie Laveau and Delphine being locked in her cage. Queenie showing some type of remorse, brings her food. Delphine trying to convince Queenie to let her out. She's saying that all they do is bleed her for the potion. At this point, Marie sneaks in. What did I tell you about feeding the animals? Queenie apologizes, leaves the room. Marie tells Delphine that ever since she brought her back, she's been thinking about ways of how she can dispose her, but it brings her joy to see her sitting in the cage. Delphine quickly reverts back to her old ways. Definitely, I see this as a defense mechanism. Tells her to get her a drink in a clean glass so she can enjoy her food in peace. You can see Marie getting pissed off, saying she's not her maid, that she wouldn't be so quick to have arrogance inside the cage. Delphine says, what are you going to do, kill me? Starts laughing. So this is where Marie says, the one thing you lack is imagination, chops off her hand. We cut back to the coven, and the girl's sitting there waiting to see what happens, waiting to see which one of them is starting to gain their powers. They're all getting a little antsy. They're, asking, what it feels like, how does it start? And Myrtle says, I heard it starts with a tingle of the cooch. At this point, Fiona walks in and says, for me, it started as a migraine. And it looks to me like Fiona is in full control of her abilities. She is not looking sick. She is looking strong. Thanks, Spaulding, for talking some sense into her, feeding her the Ipecac, telling her not to be a martyr, telling her that she was buffaloed by lesser witches, that Madison is not the next Supreme, that she was brought back to life by some dirty swamp witch, and Spaulding will not sit here and let Fiona take her own life. So Fiona walks downstairs and lights a cigarette with a little blow on the end of it, and wants to know where this swamp witch is. Misty, I guess, sensing the death, got up to go next door. Fiona follows. Fiona walks in and says, so you're the swamp witch everybody's been talking about. You can see Misty, kind of looking a little nervous. I'm sure she gets the idea that if Fiona thinks that she's the Supreme, she's going to kill her. Cops walk in, and Fiona is turning herself into a Jedi. She waves her hand. When the cops say, you can't be here, she waves her hand. Yes, we can. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Cops tell her how we think it's a botched robbery. There's one person on the way to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the head, and pretty much this bitch is dead on the floor. So Fiona tells Misty, here's someone you can test your powers on. Go ahead, bring.
As Misty brings her back, she passes out, and great look on Jessica Lange's face, how she rolls her eyes and tilts her head away, like, you got to be kidding me. This bitch is the next fucking Supreme. We go outside, and Zoe's telling Cordelia, what the cops told Fiona. And as Cordelia and Zoe are making their way over to the house, Cordelia senses something. She finds the blessed bullet. She sees the events that happened. This was no robbery. This was an assassination. So we cut to the following day. Fiona coming downstairs. Cordelia is already sitting at the kitchen table. She suggests that we, move Cordelia's room downstairs. She said she wouldn't want her to have an accident and be found at the bottom of the steps. Cordelia says she would rather be found dead at the bottom of the steps than burnt at the stake, because according to Auntie Myrtle, that hurts like hell. Fiona asks if you truly think she would do something like that to her daughter. Cut the crap, mother, because we both know I tried to orchestrate your death last night. Fiona begins to say how she is proud of her. She says that took great grit, and she is actually optimistic about the survival of the Coven. Tells Cordelia she is proud of her, and that she is her daughter. Says that she's not going to burn her at the stake. She might throw her a parade. And then Cordelia says, if I knew it was that easy to get your approval, I would have made an attempt on your life before now. Great bonding moment. Maybe they're starting to see eye to eye, because Cordelia says, after the events of last night, I'm happy that you're still here. This Coven needs you. Fiona grabs the bullet, and now they both know that they're being hunted by witch hunters. And the episode ends with the doorbell ringing, Fiona grabbing the box, and as soon as I saw the box, I knew it was going to be Delphine's head in there. It's kind of, retribution. One message sent to Marie Laveau, Bastian's head. Message sent to the Coven, Delphine's head. And the episode ends with Delphine opening her eyes and saying, help me. Now, for next week's episode, it looks like Cordelia gets her sight back. Luke is in the hospital. They show the feeding tube being taken out of his mouth, so I'm guessing this is going to be another person that Misty has to bring back to life. Joan is there wearing her Coven black. I think that's a hint. And also, I think it's a hint that Luke could be the next Supreme, because as soon as he was shot, Fiona's powers start to come back at full strength. This coming episode will be the last episode before the month winter break. When we come back from the break, the episode January 8th will be the first of 2 episodes with Stevie Nicks.